Welcome to the Unwashed Asses, episode 112. 112, not 110. Recorded for Monday, May 6, 2019. Imagine two cats playing on the floor, attacking one another, distracting you from recording your podcast. And they've stopped. Oh, no, they've started again. Much as the ferociousness. Today's Tuesday. I'm going to talk to you about Monday. Imagine, it's the middle of the night. You had a rather stressful day. You may have eaten something earlier in the day that you know doesn't necessarily agree with you, but you craved it regardless. Well, the time's come. You have to pay the toll. As you bolt upright in bed, your tummy, it rumbles, it gurgles, and you wonder, can I just go back to sleep? Is this something that I can ignore till morning? When suddenly you feel a large movement and you realize, no, this is something that requires immediate attention. Bleary-eyed, you look at the nearest clock and you see that it's 11:45 at night. You don't think that you've been asleep that little time. You think it should be much later. But your body demands immediate attention to push away any chronological woes that you have. Into the bathroom you stumble, naked, bloated, afraid. But not before, forgetting to grab your phone and go into the bathroom with it, because you know it's going to be a long haul. Everybody knows that the midnight shits are always a long haul. So as you sit down, pure evil rains from your body. Nothing solid. It's liquid. It is liquid evil emanating and just wafting up, hitting you in the face with a pungent, foul aroma. You flush. It does little to alleviate because this constant slurry of terror, it keeps pouring forth from your cold, clammy, sweaty body. And so you sit there, repeating the cycle, whimpering, praying to a God you're not even sure you believe in, but you hope is listening to make this agony go away. And eventually it stops. And you stand up, you begin to clean yourself, and your stomach rumbles once more. No, my friend, I was not done with you. Realizing you're not quite done yet, you sit back down. And another wave of pure agony rolls over you. You look at your phone, trying desperately to distract yourself and browsing through all your favorite sites, even clicking on obscure, sometimes questionable links, just something to distract you from the hell that is erupting forth from your bottom. And eventually, time passes by. You've been there for a half hour already. You haven't had anything come out in the past 10 minutes. And you're running out of things to look at on the phone. So you think, okay, I'm finally done. You stand up, clean yourself up to the best of your ability. You're cold, clammy, a little bit of sweat. You splash cold water on your face, turn off the light, shuffle back to bed. And this is the moment where you realize just how cold you are as you slip under the warm covers. And for some, this is the turning point. This is the best feeling of the night, of this entire ordeal, is cocooning yourself in warm blankets, empty, clean, and pure once again, to drift off to sleep. But for those that truly spit in the face of God, they get a crude and rude awakening as their stomach rumbles once more. And you shuffle back to the bathroom, this time opting to grab a Kindle because your phone battery is dangerously low and you've run out of things to look at on sites like Imgur and Reddit. So instead you pick up a book, you sit down, and you start reading again. Because at this point, fuck it. Where are you going to go? What else do you have to be? You and the toilet are one. And in that moment, you are experiencing the great unifying shit. The shit that everybody experiences at numerous points in their life. The shit where you are bent over, just quietly whimpering, hoping for it to be over. Everybody's had this. Everybody will have it. It is in that one unholy moment we are all the same. We all know exactly what one another is going through. That was the cherry to my night last night, to my day. Yesterday, I had a bit of an accident. It was early enough in the day, about 10:50-ish. Got done hanging a rather nasty aerial drop to a customer's home. Said customer had a wooden deck in their backyard where I had to mount my ladder, attach a line to the back of the house. And the idea was to wrap it around to the side of the house and then, tie into the rest of the system. Said deck was covered in a nice fine layer of English Bulldog shit. English Bulldog shit that has been out for days, if not weeks, and we've had a lot of rain lately, so it was a nice gummy paste. But not nice sticky gummy, just stuck enough to your boots so it'd get all over your ladder, but was quite slippery. That was also compounded by the fact that the deck was covered in moss or algae, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I think algae's water-based. It lives in the water. Covering the deck and the steps. And at this point, I was well acquainted with this fact, but I was doing my best to be careful. And as I took my ladder down and was walking down the steps to get to the side of the house, fate decided today was going to be a fun Monday. Feet went out from underneath me, said 45 pound ladder that I was carrying fell, landed right on my right hand. Now, this was a customer that had been helicoptering the entire time I was there, but for this one moment, he was not around. So I sat there screaming profanities and holding my hand, wanting to throw up, breathing heavy, screaming more profanities before I get up and I start pacing back and forth in a back alley. And I call my supervisor and explain what happened. It's like, hey, let me, I don't think it's broken. Just constantly clenching my fist. Like, it hurts like the dickens. I want to die, but I don't think it's broken. So what do you want to do? He asks. I say, you know what? Let me finish this job because it's really, really bad. And let me call you back. So as I proceed to finish the job, I realize I can't use my hand tools super effectively. I have a really hard time moving my ladder. And I have about another hour and a half left on this job. So thankfully a coworker showed up, helped me through it, and with tears in my eyes, I asked him, hey, could you please put my ladder back on my truck? And could you please set the bulk of this up? Because I just want to die. My hand hurts so bad. Oh, it was, at this point, it began swelling, bruising. And I was debating, like, all right, if I have to call my supervisor again about this, it's gonna be a pain, like more so than this. But it's hurt so bad, I don't think I can finish the rest of the day. Like, if I can't lift my ladder, I can't do the bulk of my work, and let alone if I can't use my hand tools, then I'm just effectively useless. So I called my supervisor, and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? How's the hand feeling? I said, hey, you ready to go to the hospital? And thus begins the journey. I finished that job a little after 1 of treating what ultimately ended up being a severely bruised or contusion. What is the definition of contusion here? Because I bet you it's not going to be much. It's a medical term for a bruise. Yep, I just severely bruised my fucking fingers. So, it's at this point, if you've never been injured at work, I don't recommend it just because of the rigmarole that comes with dealing with corporate. Now, it happened on my right hand. My right hand is my dominant hand, and when they ask you to write out a statement of what happened in excruciating detail, the word excruciating takes on a more literal sense as you tenderly grasp the pen and start filling out forms. And because said company is also adamant about drug testing at the slightest accident or if anything should happen, there are only a number of facilities that we can use. So we go into the corporate portal and we look for the nearest one, and it's 40 minutes away. And it's at this point we're not sure if they can do the medical treatment there as well. So we begin the 40-minute car ride down to the facility so I can get the drug test done. I'm on the phone with employee services explaining what happened, and they say, well, that facility could definitely do the drug test, but we don't think they can do the medical treatment. Like, you know, we'll deal with that later. So sure enough, we go there, we do the drug test, and I guess the reason that they chose this facility over any others because they have an instant drug test where essentially you just piss in the cup. A small, frail old woman who is administering the test says you've pissed too much into the cup and has to pour it back out into the toilet, much to your chagrin and impending sense of awkwardness. And you sit there for 5 to 8 minutes while the test runs, and then the results are then emailed out to corporate. And then they say, oh no, well, your company's not partnered with us. We can do the drug test, sure, but we can't do any medical treatment. But if you'd like to fill out a form to become a partner, we can take care of that. However, you have to be authorized to do so. Well, neither me nor my supervisor are authorized to do so. So we call back up into employee services and we say, where is the nearest hospital that can take care of this? We go to the nearest hospital, which is a larger metropolitan area in the next state, where we already were. And it's a fairly crowded ER. Get checked in, and then go sit in the waiting room and sit and wait and sit and wait. And it's at this point, it's about 2:30ish. Get called back, and they begin the initial exam and explain what happened. And I wear a ring on my right hand and I keep it on my middle finger, and they're concerned like, oh well, we want to make sure the hand, if it keeps swelling, that the ring isn't going to get in the way. Can you take it off? I'm like, good luck with that, because in the winter, sure, my hands are slimmer because it's cold and I'm not fat. No, I'm able to get the ring on and off, not a problem. But in the summer, I bloat, I'm a big fat piece of shit, and my hands swell, so I can't get the ring off. Like, okay, well, I asked, do you have any lotion? No, they don't have any lotion. I don't know why it's so hard to get lotion in an ER. So I go to the soap dispenser, and rather than being at least liquid soap, it's all foamy. I'm like, well, this is useless, and I try, and my finger gets red and angry, and I can't get the ring off. So it's at this point they're like, oh, well, we can do a trick where we wrap your finger with umbilical tape and we thread the ring over it. Well, they don't have any umbilical thread. Sorry, not tape. So they message over to pediatrics, and 10 minutes later they have some, and the attending physician comes in and wraps my finger and is trying to instruct another person in how they can remove rings. I'm like, oh yeah, it works all the time. Well, guess what? It doesn't work this time, and it just makes my finger redder and angrier and larger. I'm like, again, this isn't the problem finger. I don't understand why we can't grasp this concept. So as they can't do that, they start questioning me and doing the other initial check-ins. And it's at this point I'm asked a question that I've been asked before when being seen by a doctor, and I guess it's kind of standard practice nowadays, where they ask, oh, is there anything going on at home that makes you afraid, or anything that makes you uncomfortable? Do you have thoughts of like self-harm, or do you wish to harm others? And I say, well, yeah. And they're like, what? And like, do you have a plan? Do you think about suicide often? Like once or twice a week, but I mean, and they're like, oh, are you being serious? Yeah. Okay, so here's what's going to happen now. We're going to have another attending physician come in, and they're going to talk with you because This is something we have to take very seriously, and if you have thoughts of, self-harm, then, we'll have to admit you and do a psych eval. And it's like, motherfucker, this is not the way I thought it was going to be, and fuck me for being honest, because, if you've been listening to the show, yeah, I have been diagnosed, I was treated, and I've been, more or less managing it for close to 15 years now. So I don't necessarily want to do the whole psych evaluation. I don't want to go back on the medication, and I definitely don't want to do any treatment, especially if it involves involuntary admittance. So the attending physician, the other one, comes in and begins kind of explaining it, and I guess the definition that they're using is like, do you immediately feel like doing self-harm? Like, no, I'm not gonna fucking pull out my knife and start stabbing myself in the neck. But I mean, who doesn't have those days where it's like, all right, well, shit totally went sideways today. Probably be easier if I just killed myself. Or even with the bullshit question of, do you wish harm on others? How many of us have had that instance where somebody cuts you off in traffic and you would love to have the powers of Magneto and just flip them off the side of the bridge? I mean, everybody has these thoughts and feelings, and to deny it would be lying, but apparently lying is the way to go, because otherwise you get involuntarily admitted and have to do a psych evaluation. So I guess the trick is, 1, lie. 2, if you're dumb like me and don't want to lie, then the trick is, no, I don't have those thoughts right now. Yes, they pass. Yes, I manage them, but no, I don't have those thoughts at the moment. And at that point, they kind of ignore it. I say this because I was allowed to leave, and I'm, at least unless they injected me with something, and I'm sitting in a room and trying to do a podcast in my head, but I don't think that's the case. No, just lie. Because otherwise they take it super seriously. And as Rachel informed me last night, apparently I have very, very different viewpoints on mental health and self-harm and things of that nature. And I guess other people don't necessarily get that, so it could lead to trouble for me. So I go back in the waiting room, and they're like, all right, we'll call you back for x-rays later. About an hour later, I go back and I get the x-rays. They're again concerned about the ring, but because the x-ray technician is apparently very talented at what they do, they're able to get the x-rays without an issue, and they tell me, okay, go back and wait, and then the doctor will call you back and we'll go over everything. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait some more, and eventually I get called back, and they're like, okay, we have results. Well, it's not broken, nothing's out of place, you just have contusions, so what we're going to do is, typical buddy splint, which I've had before. Take some ibuprofen, anti-inflammatory, painkiller as needed, keep it elevated, ice it, this, that, and the other thing. And, if it's not better in 3 days, here's an orthopedic, give them a call, and we'll kind of take it from there. It's like, you guys realize you're 45 minutes away from me. I don't really give a shit to cross state lines and deal with this again. As long as my finger doesn't hurt enough that it's impacting my work, I'm just going to keep going with it. So supervisor and I drive back, and it's at this point been about 8-ish hours of dealing with this, and I hadn't eaten lunch. Like the last time I ate was 6:30 that morning. No painkillers, and I was just in agony. Like the common question was, oh, how's it on a pain scale? 3 if you don't molest it, 6 to 7. Like, it brings tears to my eyes if you touch it too much. So yeah, here I am Tuesday morning, after dealing with that and then the midnight shits. I had to take a sick day because, again, can't use my hand tools, can't use a ladder, so sitting here talking to you guys, recording the show that I meant to record yesterday but just did not have the time. And if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, what's that magical item that disrupts your internal system so much? It's just a concrete mixer from Culver's. custard does not agree with me. I get a small, and every time I get a small, I know that there's a price to pay. There's a pact that I need to make with the devil. But after that day, I was famished. I was starving, and I wanted just something quick and easy and something I knew was going to be delicious. So you get the bacon deluxe, you get some cheese curds, you get a mixer with it, you pig out, and then pass out. Because that's how I cope, and that's how I deal. I eat, and I eat. And then at the time of 11:30, Satan himself comes wrapping up my consciousness and says, "It's time. You owe me." And thus the midnight shits begin. So I meant to talk about Game of Thrones this episode, but you know what? There's not much to talk about. It was a super disappointing episode. We're going to leave it at that. I have no faith left in the rest of the season, and yeah, we can talk about it next week, but otherwise not much to say. So that's going to wrap it up. If you have your own, stories that you want to commiserate with, and that bonding moment, the universal shit, write the show, theunwashedasses@gmail.com. Again, theunwashedasses@gmail.com. And this year, help the show grow. Tell a friend they can get the show wherever they get podcasts. Just search for TUA or The Unwashed Asses. And don't forget, we have a store. You can get a t-shirt for Friday Night Smite Crew and stickers and prints for other things. And of course, if you want to just, do things on a monthly basis, that's cool too. Patreon.com/0and09. Links are in the show notes. But we'll talk to you Wednesday. Blood for the Blood God.